All right, thank you. All right, we're going to call the meeting of the Board of Public Works to order on February 22nd, 2024. Would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Shea?
Here.
Commissioner Lemon? Here. Commissioner Gregg?
Here.
Commissioner Espadilla?
Here.
Mayor Donches?
Here. First item is the approval of the agenda. Commissioner Lemon.
I move to approve the agenda as submitted.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next is the approval of the minutes from the January 25th meeting. Commissioner Shea.
I motion to approve the minutes of the Board of Public Works meeting of January 25th, 2024.
Any corrections or anything? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Public comment. Is there any member of the public who would like to speak to the Board of Public Works? Okay, next is the wastewater department. Item A, Commissioner Gregg.
I motion to approve the user warrants as presented.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item B, Commissioner Espadilla.
I move to approve the purchase of one 2023 sewer equipment combination jet/vacuum sewer cleaner from Chadwick Barrows for the contract price of $535,330. Pricing for the purchase will be off the Sourcewell contract 101221-SCA. Funding will be through Department 169 wastewater, fund, WERF, account category 81-capital.
Good afternoon, Mike Rush, Fleet Maintenance Manager. This purchase is replacing the 2014 model truck. It is a like-for-like purchase. It's a little similar, has a little bit less technology, a little bit more mechanical, so it's a little bit more reliable. It is a leftover unit, so we were able to save a little bit of money on a leftover unit as opposed to ordering a brand-new one spec'd specifically. This is used in daily use to clean out sewers. It also jets sewer backups. It's also used in the plant for the cleaning of the process tanks that get full of sludge from time to time. I'm happy to answer any questions you have on this purchase.
Anyone? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Now we're on to the engineering department. Item A, Commissioner Lemon.
I move to approve the purchase of one 2024 Nissan Leaf for use in the engineering department. Purchase will be from Patriot Nissan of Salem, New Hampshire for the purchase price of $28,176. Funding will be through Department 160 Admin/Engineering Fund Trust Activity SURF.
Michael Rush, Fleet Maintenance Manager. This purchase is replacing our 2012 Honda CNG-powered vehicle. This vehicle is showing signs of corrosion to the undercarriage. It's starting to come up on its lifespan of the CNG tanks, so replacing it before it gets to the point of spending that kind of money in an older vehicle. So we opted to go with the electric vehicle, the Nissan Leaf, staying within the city's initiative to go electric. And it'll be used in daily engineering operations. Happy to answer any questions you have about that.
Anybody? What's the range on this?
The Nissan Leaf,
Yeah.
I believe it's 230 miles. I know there's different battery pack types packages that you can buy, but I believe it's 230 miles on this particular package.
Commissioner Shea?
What was our experience with the Honda CNG vehicle?
I think that was pretty well received, fairly reliable. Not too many issues with that vehicle, to be honest. It doesn't have a very high maintenance tracking, which is good, but it's also it doesn't have heavy use. It's used daily, but it's not every day it's out there, always running. It's not like a dump truck or something like that. It's mostly just from point A to point B.
So it worked out fairly well
Yeah.
for the life of the vehicle.
Yeah, not many issues.
Yeah, as a consumer vehicle user, it's like not something that you see or hear much about or know much about, and so just curious how we did with it.
It held up a little bit better than some of our CNG pickup trucks we had. But like I said, it's from point A to point D. It's not used in construction or anything like that, so that was to be expected.
Appreciate it. Yep.
All those in favor of the motion say aye. Did you have a question?
Yeah, just a quick
Okay.
question. Do we look at, and this might be a general question, but probably for you, do we look at used vehicles in the electric space, or are we typically buying new?
We are currently looking at new vehicles, the reason, new or leftover vehicles, if we can get them.
Okay.
Because the leftovers, we can still get the warranty. When you buy a used vehicle, we feel you don't get as good of a warranty when you buy them new. So the warranties that we've been getting, especially on the electric vehicles, kind of carry us to the next surf purchase. So we have a pretty good warranty coverage should, this technology is up and coming, it's growing.
Sure.
So we don't really know what to expect out of some of the electric vehicles in the capacity that we're putting them in. So we feel it's best to buy the newer or leftover purchases as opposed to a used one, for now anyway.
Okay. I've been noticing that electric vehicles, when you drive them off the lot, they seem to go down a lot more in terms of their value than gas-powered. And I know that doesn't necessarily matter for what we're going to be using them for.
Believe it or not, the same thing happens with the heavy equipment too.
Sure.
You drive it off the
Sure.
lot, you use 20 grand before you even leave the parking lot, so.
Sure.
All right, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item B, Commissioner Shea.
I motion to approve the sewer services permits and fees as submitted.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item C, Commissioner Gregg.
I motion to approve a drain layers license for N. Grenice and Sons, Inc. of Salem, Massachusetts, in accordance with Nashua City Code 255-19, issuance of drain layers license, and authorize the Division of Public Works to temporarily suspend the license if work is found to be unsatisfactory during an initial 6-month probationary period.
All right, any questions, comments? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next is item D, Commissioner Spitia.
Move to consider the hardship waiver request from Liberty Utilities to excavate in moratorium streets for grade 2 gas leak repairs through calendar year 2024.
Good afternoon, Mark Sonis, Deputy City Engineer. So this request is for a blanket approval. We've done this in years past for Liberty Utilities. I have to my right here Nate Coate, who we can get into a little more of it. But in years past, we asked for a blanket approval for grade 2 leaks in moratorium roadways to help streamline that process. I can let the Liberty representative get into more details on what a grade 2 leak is and what their requirements are to deal with them.
Yep, Nate Cody with Liberty Utilities. Yeah, so basically, this request is to make repairs for G2 leaks and moratorium roadways when they occur. Like Mark said, we've done this request in the past, so just kind of looking to do an annual approval of this. So when leaks do occur, we can make those repairs as needed. Public Utilities Commission requires that we make these repairs within 6 months, so that's kind of, we're trying to meet that need. Happy to answer any other questions you might have.
Commissioner Spitia.
How often do you get these grade 2 leaks?
I mean, it's tough to predict. They could vary, it could be a few a year to, 100. I mean, it's just very tough to predict.
You don't have like a current list right now of repairs that you have to do? This is more like just like in the future, you want some sort of...
Correct. We monitor the gas mains over the course of the year, and if we do detect a leak, that's when we make the repair.
Commissioner Shea.
Just to speak to past conversations about this, I've supported this before and will support it again. One of the benefits of doing this is that we reduce the period of time in which we're off-gassing this fuel into the atmosphere, and it's a pretty strong greenhouse gas when not combusted. So that's an added benefit. And then the other benefit that if I recall, is that when it comes to weather considerations and the timing of repairs, this allows for the things to be expediently addressed so that they're not delayed during the wintertime, is that right?
Correct.
To some extent? Yeah.
Yep.
But just additional thoughts and information in support of this.
Commissioner Lemon.
What's a, I assume grade 2, you said it has to be addressed within 6 months.
Yep.
Grade 1 is just all-out emergency, you gotta take care of it, is that?
Yeah, grade 1's like an immediate need. Grade 2's like a slightly less need, but it's, it's something that we, need to address. Like I said, it's a Public Utility Commission requires we repair those.
And is there a grade 3? This is just for my.
Yeah, there's a grade 3 and there's a grade 4.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Anyone else? All right, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We now have item E. Commissioner Lemon.
I move to consider the hardship request from Hayner Swanson Incorporated on behalf of Nashua Motorsports Realty LLC to excavate to install vertical granite curb and modify a catch basin at 9 Northeastern Boulevard.
Mark Saunders, Deputy City Engineer. This moratorium request is for 9 Northeastern Boulevard. This is the site of the old Holiday Inn that is currently has been demolished. This request is to install granite curbing, cutting off several of the curb cuts and focusing on one. This is gonna be a very minimal impact to the roadway. They will not make it out into the travel lane. The representative from Hayner Swanson unfortunately couldn't make it, so I'm happy to answer any questions for this project.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We're now on item F. Commissioner Shea.
The motion is to approve street opening permits issued for streets in moratorium. There are none?
Is there,
I'm sorry, I'm trying,
Yeah, it's not.
I'm having trouble with the language. What is,
It's really, it's an informational.
okay, it's an
you're-
informational item
Yeah.
only.
okay.
Um,
Do we need a motion?
No. All right. Any questions on this one? If not, we go to Park Rec. Item A, we have, Brian is here somewhere, I think. I saw him.
No, I think,
Oh,
hopefully
okay, this is
Manager Mike
equipment.
Rush will speak to this.
Item A, Commissioner Shea.
Does a motion mean that inherently I support this?
No,
Okay.
I'm just calling on you to,
In order, yeah.
Yes.
I appreciate that. I just wanted to make sure.
we don't hold you to that.
Yeah, thank you. I motion to approve the purchase of a 2024 Chrysler electric plug-in van for use in the Recreation Department. Purchase will be from Allen Mallow Chrysler of Nashua, New Hampshire, for the quoted price of $48,826. This quote was acquired through the bidding process. Funding will be through Department 177, Parks and Recreation, Fund, Trust, Activity, Surf.
But if you decline to make the motion, we just go to another person, so just for the,
I would be free to do so. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. Rush.
Michael Rush, Fleet Maintenance Manager. So this scheduled surf purchase is going to replace a Ford Fusion Hybrid that has about 49,000 miles on it. It also has corrosion to the undercarriage, the frame, and the suspension. We opted to go with the Chrysler electric plug-in to try to stay with the city initiative and enhance some more cargo capacity and passenger capacity to go through parks and recreational events. Fitting in some more equipment a little bit more easier than the Ford Fusion currently does. We did explore a lot of other options, but we were trying to stay within the surf budget we had to work with, and this was the van that we could come up with and still stay with the city's electric initiative that we're moving towards. I'm happy to answer any questions you have on this motion.
Questions? Commissioner Shea?
What was the original purchase of the Ford Fusion?
I do not have that with me. That's a 2010. I would imagine it was probably somewhere around 23,000.
Oh, no, I mean purpose, not purchase.
The purpose?
Yeah.
The original purpose, I'm not sure, I wasn't here in 2010 when it was purchased, but currently it's used to move like basketballs, some tables, some chairs, which don't really fit in the trunk of the Fusion. You kind of have to shove it in the back seat. But going to, you know, park events and any recreation events around the city is to my understanding.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. That's correct. It was also, though, used to go to conferences. It was used just for park and rec in general, for whatever their needs were for a vehicle.
Was it originally purchased for Park and Rec, or was it purchased, was it like a mayoral vehicle or some other office vehicle? I'm just wondering if the original purchase intent was to serve Parks and Recreation for the vehicle, or if it was repurposed from some initial use when that vehicle was replaced.
I don't think so. I think it was originally purchased, and I think the original use was for the superintendent to utilize. At that time, I think most of the superintendents had Ford Fusions, so I believe that was the original use. And then it was the superintendent then acquired a truck, and so then it was passed down and utilized by all of the entire department.
Thank you.
Sure.
Commissioner Shea?
So the sole purpose of this is moving like light things, or are there any larger things that might need to be moved? Would there be usage of this vehicle to go to work sites, for landscaping and other things that need to be done by the department?
No, I don't believe that this would be used.
I don't think
in everyday
Mr.
work
Rush is the
capacity.
best person to
I
answer
can-
this, right?
I can speak to that, yeah. No, this is going to be used for recreation, so it'll be used to transport things for camps, whether that's basketballs or what have you. It'll be used for our events, to transport things to our events. So those are the types of things. It'll be pretty much exclusively used by recreation, not on the park side.
Okay. I have some, if I can opine.
Of course.
So I have some, I own one of these, and I have some concerns about it, just in terms of being a duty vehicle where it's primarily designed as a family mover. And so, and I appreciate you kind of further enlightening me this week through email over this. And I struggle with that, because as somebody who has used, I've owned two ICE Chrysler Town & Countries, and then they rebadged it as the Pacifica, which the original Pacifica was like a terrible crossover SUV, so it was such a weird rebrand, and anyway, but I won't. Yeah. And so weight-bearing capacity for this is about 1,200 pounds. It sounds like we won't be exceeding that with the use case.
Yeah, I mean, the primary use is to move light equipment, nothing heavy. We're not using it for the park department. It's more like a recreational vehicle. So it's
Okay.
going to transport like tables, maybe some folding chairs,
Yep.
banners, like Director Photo said, basketballs and other smaller equipment. We're not looking for a very large payload.
Okay.
Where that would be like where with the E-Transit van would come in. If we were going to pack this thing full of a bunch of supplies, I don't think that's the intent of this. It's just to get a little bit more room than what we had in the Fusion, while trying to stay practical and, fiscally responsible within the budget numbers we have to work with.
And I am more interested in this because of my experience with the car. And so, so I just have a lot of thoughts and things to say. So I have a couple more questions, and I appreciate the indulgence.
Go ahead.
Does this have a center console? Do you recall?
I don't recall.
Okay. The reason I ask is because one of the challenges that I've had with my series of vans, I'm now in my third, which is the plug-in hybrid now. The center console was at times prohibitive, like an 8-foot table was difficult to get into the vehicle. And I know that they've had like exterior body styling changes since. Mine's a 2018, which I think was the first year that they came out. And so that's something I see. I'm glad the weight is not an issue. In mine, if you had 6 adult men of like 225 pounds, or adult people of 225 pounds, and some amount of equipment, it struggled. Like we'd go up to the White Mountains for target practice, and like on the highway, it was just like not happy at all. And I'm still concerned about loading things in and out on a regular basis. I beat my first 2 up really well, moving things in and out of it for work. And the third one I did not put in to that kind of service, because after about 2 years, I was like, okay, I need to sell this before it gets so beat up that nobody wants it. Now, I had sent you a link to a vehicle that's a fully electric. It's bigger. It's probably bigger than what's needed for this job. Would you say that that's fair, or do you think?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, we've looked at the Rivian, the 40 Transit van, the Mercedes Sprinter, which I believe you mentioned in the email that you sent to us. And then the other option was the Chrysler van. There are other options. We're going with what's available that we could use for this summer without having to wait a year and a half or up to almost 2 years for a vehicle too. So we were trying to keep all that, up front and see what we could work, what we had to work with. This came up, like any vehicle, it does have its pros and cons. As we went through the same with the other vehicles that we were looking at, and really the other ones that we were looking at came down to how much they cost. So that's how we ended up at the Chrysler van.
Okay. And Director Fota, you had mentioned like safety and navigability. I hope you don't take my comment on my email as glib about kind of the systems of control of children, but I am just hopeful that blind spots and vehicle sizes are not really a factor when we're looking at these kinds of things. Just because at camps or what have you, the kids should really be in places where vehicles aren't. And so, that's a sincere comment, and
Yeah.
I just want you to know that.
Sure.
Okay. I've taken a lot of time, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
I just wanted to mention that we did look at the transit van, the Ford E-Transit van, and I was uncomfortable driving it. It's fairly large, and so, and right, we do hope that we're not traveling with our kids, but the reality of it is we are, right? Of the kids going in and out of pools, and, we're in all of those areas. So I think the smaller vehicle is something that staff felt more comfortable driving, including myself. I wish they had the smaller version, like we have at wastewater.
Transit Connect,
The smaller, and unfortunately, they don't make that in electric. And
There's some newer models coming out in the
Yeah.
next upcoming years.
And that's really been part of our challenge, was trying to find an electric vehicle that met our needs. There's certainly a lot of our other opportunities if we didn't go electric. If the board would like us to look at non-electric options, we certainly could do that if you feel strongly that this vehicle might not be the best purchase for us. But we were really trying to stay within those, the electric parameters. And although I think there will be a lot in the next couple of years, right now, we're sort of limited on size and the availability of certain things, so, unfortunately.
I might have another question.
Yeah, go
If I
ahead.
could collect my thoughts. The Transit Connect that you drove, did it have the back windows like the one in the link? Or was it a fully boxed van with no side windows?
I believe it was a,
The one that we demoed that we could purchase without ordering did not have windows in the back. That is an option that you can order. Again, we were just going by what state bid had to offer through Groupon up in Concord, and that's what they had at the time. Doesn't mean we can't get it, but I do know that that was an option to get windows in the back for more visibility. I believe there was a backup camera option too, if we were worried about that.
Are we obligated in purchasing to go through that state bid, or is that something we can take advantage of?
No, it offers a better discount some of the time. I put a lot of research into our vehicles and try to figure out what's the best way to get what we need while being fiscally responsible. So I probably put a little bit more effort in than is probably needed, but I want to make sure that we're making the right purchases.
I have two more questions, and then I'll restrain myself.
Okay, go ahead.
So, as far as like people moving, and I don't know if the director's here, Brian Conant, superintendent, excuse me. So, is this going to be moving a lot of people, or is it, no, do you think it's mostly going to be like one or two people driving? Yeah?
yes.
Okay. Okay, my thought is that, and one more question. So the Transit Connect electric, is that roughly like 54 to 56,000?
That was about 57.
Okay. And when will this go into service? Like, when do they start moving stuff?
Oh, it'll be pretty soon,
Okay.
as soon as spring starts.
Okay. I would really like to see us look at the windowed and backup camera version of the Transit Connect for reasons of durability and range. You can get 30 miles electric on this during fair weather. But if you're doing like 3 or 4 trips in a day without 30 minutes to stop and charge, you switch over to gas. I can tell you that on my vehicle, it has a stated like hybrid combined range of like 30 or 32 miles per gallon. I feel, at least in mine, and I don't know if they've improved it since, but the hybrid efficiency without being plugged in may be overstated. The Ford Fusion, do you know what that's getting for miles per gallon?
Somewhere around
Like 36,
30,
38?
36, 38.
Yeah.
Depending on your terrain and weather and everything else. Yeah.
Because right now, without having plugged mine in for a couple of days and having recently had it serviced up the wazoo, I think we had $4,200 worth of work done on it. I'm getting 22 miles per gallon, which is basically, it might as well be the electric one. That might even be, I mean, the ICE one. That might even be worse than the ICE one, or at least on par. But and so if this is going to a couple of sites in a day, will this vehicle go to multiple programs over the course of a day?
Yes, absolutely.
And so you get your 30 miles, you might get 2 or 3 locations out of like 6 to 8? How many would you say in a day?
It would vary, but
Yeah.
there are numerous camps, so it could be going to numerous camps in a particular day. And pools and parks and anywhere we have programming.
Yeah. Even if it's, and another thing to consider is that we are in a state right now where gas prices have come down, have corrected. There was a craze of buying electric vehicles because of $4 plus, $4.50 plus gas. And a lot of people were very motivated by that. And there are a lot of electric vehicle producers who are reducing their output and orders because of this phenomenon where people are now seeing gas at $3.29 or what have you. And so this projection of adoption has changed significantly. And I believe that with that, we are in a market where, as the vehicle that I sent you is a 2022, and it's still on the lot, they have 7 of them. We may be in a position where we can find a 2022 without the adaptations, because it sounds like for the people moving, we don't need the adaptations, which is a significant cost increase. For the other commissioners, this Transit Connect has been upfitted by a company called Fall River Vans that does conversions. And they take out the flooring in the back, they put a rail tracking system in and install seats, so you can get up to 15, I think, on your order. But that vehicle, those come in at somewhere around like $9, and it's tough to find the actual pricing without getting a quote from the secondary. It's a second market type of thing. So I don't know if they're not like beholden to the MSRP and like window sticker regulations.
So usually when they quote it, it's like 30 days, and then the price could change.
Yeah.
Somewhere around that window, 20 days.
And so I would not be surprised if we could find a 2022 Transit Connect with the window option and the backup camera, in the region somewhere, for sub 55,000. And the capacity for that vehicle is just so much more. And in terms of durability, loading tables in and out, we may have an efficiency over time if we find ourselves where, like mine, I'm knocking trim off of it, and the little tiny clips in there are designed to not be banged up against stuff. And so I'd like us to take a second, me personally, I would like us to consider taking a second look at the Transit Connect, and seeing if we can find something comparably priced that fits within the SURF budget and might meet the needs a little better, are my thoughts.
Who makes the Transit Connect?
So the Transit Connect is a Ford vehicle. They've been producing them, the electric. Do you know how long they've been producing those for?
Few
Maybe
years.
5 years?
Probably like four, 3
Is
or
it
4.
fully electric or
It is.
Yeah.
And this thing is just
It's a plug-in hybrid.
meaning you get a few miles.
So you get 32 miles on a good day, like Commissioner Shea said. You get 32 miles fully electric before the hybrid engine kicks in to
Right.
start the system. It does, I believe this system recharges a little bit of the battery until you can plug it in again, but I don't think you're getting much more efficiency out of that once that starts.
Yeah. So as an example, I could drive to Pelham and back in the summer, and have a mile or 2 of range coming back to Nashua. So it's 18 minutes each way. So it's not that much driving in the grand scheme of things, especially if you're going to further camps. And during the winter, I would probably do about 4 or 5 miles on gas. So it varies depending on the weather. And the Transit Connect has a range of 120 some odd miles. I would think that we would probably be within that range for our local travel during the daytime.
Are you, I just have a question. Are you referring to the larger version?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm not comfortable with that, Commissioner Shea, to be honest.
I-
I think, we're getting into tight areas, Crown Hill Pool, for instance, in a small parking lot. If this isn't the right, maybe we wait and keep looking, but I wouldn't be comfortable recommending that for staff. I just think it's too large.
As I had, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
as I had mentioned in my notes on this, which they were copious, so I appreciate you taking the time to read them.
Sure.
The Transit Connect 15 passenger is a vehicle that I've driven a couple of times for political purposes to get people to canvassing.
Okay.
And for the first 15 minutes, it was terrifying to drive that car. Just going from a regular sized car to driving that, I was like, I don't know. I found comfort fairly quickly. And that vehicle had windows all around. I could wholly see where visibility would be a big concern without the windows. And the experience might not be confidence instilling. And so I wonder if taking a look at the one with the windows, the backup camera system, getting a feel for what the comfort is like driving it, if that might lead you to feel a different way.
Okay.
Thank you.
So what are you proposing? Is this a motion to hold this for further investigation?
It is, with the caveat that I understand that we need a vehicle for these purposes this year, and so I would ask that we have, if the board is willing to take the time to further investigate this, I would ask that we come back next month with, a kind of a like a test drive, one with the windows, if there's one around. If there's not, then next month I'd be willing to support this. But if we could be presented with both options to consider next month, pending the test drive. Because I want to see us get a vehicle in service in short order. And so, yes, I would ask to table this to evaluate Transit Connect with the enhanced visibility and come back next month with more information and a option or both of the options to consider. And if the other commissioners feel that my concerns are not on balance with what our needs are, I respect that, and we could also move forward with this, but that's my sense of it.
All right, so the motion is to table this for a month of investigation. Anyone want to speak to that? Commissioner, speak to you.
I just want to ask, like, how, Director Photo, how would that impact y'all if you'd have to wait a month?
Mike, do you know?
So if we table this, there is the risk of this vehicle that they're holding for us be sold, and we have to look elsewhere, delaying the time. That is, I'm not saying that will happen. They will probably hold it if we ask them to. There is a chance that they have the chance to sell it, and they go, well, if it got tabled or it got voted down, then maybe you're not really going to buy it. So if we have the chance to sell it, they're going to sell it. That's a realistic thing. To look into the other options, I am not currently aware of what they have on the lot as far as the Ford version. So I'd have to investigate that before I could give you any kind of real time of when we would expect a delivery for something like that. When we did look into the E-Transit that we demoed out here in the parking lot a few months back, I think the lead time was about 2-3 months. Could be shorter now. I'm not really sure where they're at with that version.
Could we take about 1 minute to see if there are 2023 Town and Countries on the market? Or Pacificas, excuse me. I just want to see, like, this.
And how would you tell? By
So-
the internet?
Yeah. Although the service here is horrendous. Oh, there's that service outage today, right?
Yep.
All right, so the motion is to table this. Has anybody else got any thoughts on this? Commissioner Gregg.
I think for a lot of people, cargo vans can be difficult to maneuver if they haven't done them, if they haven't actually worked with them. Just to Director Fatou's point, if you're doing it for the first time, it's a struggle. And I don't know, how many people would be using this at any given
There
time?
could be a recreation intern using it, which would be a young person. There could be, and then we'd also have our recreation administrator, Lauren Byers, and Meredith Census, who is our recreation manager, and Eric Menard, who is our recreation coordinator. So that would be the majority, but I'd be concerned with an intern
Sure.
getting into a cargo van to. I do really like the transit, the Ford Transit vans. I wish they made the smaller version. I would definitely be in favor of that. I feel like this is just too large for our needs.
You're saying that I'm not familiar with these vehicles at all.
It's a big van. It's
So
a
you're
big
saying the
van. It's a
transit
very
is too big
van.
for the,
Yeah, this is what it looks like.
Do you know how long it is?
The Transit Connect, I can Google that.
and what does the thing we're
It's pretty long,
buying look like?
I'm actually driving.
like a minivan.
Surprisingly, I'm renting one right now for.
Really?
Yeah, Pacifica. It's it's a standard minivan. I mean, and it's for.
Do you like it?
Well, funny enough, I'm utilizing it both for people moving and for moving equipment back and forth, and it works for both. I mean, it's a good thing for both. If we think, I think in a cargo van situation, if we ever think we're going to use it as a people mover, we wouldn't have that flexibility really, because this thing is probably just, I think what cargo vans typically only have 2 or 3 seats. So you wouldn't use it for people moving at all. You'd have to use it for moving things, and in which case that would have the one use. But if you do think there's going to be some sort of flexibility of needing to move people at any given time for any reason, that is the advantage of a minivan for sure.
Yeah, I will say, I was not aware that there would be interns driving the vehicle. I was under the impression that this would be
Oh,
full-time
okay.
staff of the
Okay.
department, and that changes my impression of the suitability of the Transit Connect.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a whole different.
I have to say, when I was not in public office, this is around 2000, my daughter worked as an intern for Park Rec and drove a pickup truck into the back of a new BMW on Main Street. And she wasn't allowed to drive anymore after that. So, I don't know,
Yeah. To circle back on the,
But I was not in public office. I'd been out of office for like 9 years,
Yeah.
so,
all right,
She's not watching.
I relent and will support the purchase.
So
All
you
right.
are withdrawing your
Yes,
table?
yes, I am.
So we're
Okay.
back to the motion
Yep.
to approve the purchase. Is there any other discussion on this?
I'd like to just add that I appreciate how much time and effort that you actually put into
Yeah.
this. That is meaningful to me when I go through and do all the research for these things. So I appreciate all your questions and everything that you brought forward today.
I'm interested in 5 things, and one of them is cars, especially kind of in this sector, so.
I don't think any of us noticed.
Yeah. Thank you all for indulging me, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, so the motion is to approve the purchase. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, the Solid Waste Department. Item A, Commissioner Gregg.
Okay, thank you. I motion to approve the purchase of recycling and trash carts and cart lids for curbside collection for fiscal year '24 in an amount not to exceed $145,000 from Totter Incorporated of Statesville, North Carolina. Funding will be through Department 168 Solid Waste, Fund Solid Waste, Account Classification 71 Equipment.
All right.
Jeff LaFleur, Superintendent Solid Waste. This is my annual appropriation for toters. They're over 21 years old now, so they're starting to fail out at the curb, and we're going through quite a few of them. So that'll replace some of the trash carts, whatever ones we get called in, we'll go out and replace them. And then we'll also purchase a surplus of recycling carts that residents can come in and purchase and use for the recycling at the curbside.
All right. Any discussion? Commissioner Lemon?
I just have a question that people ask me this all the time. So when you are new to Nashua, and you move into a house, you get a toter for garbage.
Yes.
And you get a bin for the recycling,
2 bins.
2 bins for recycling.
Yep.
And those they go with your house forever and ever.
Yep.
But if you go and you purchase a tall recycling bin, that's yours.
That's yours to keep.
Okay. And I have one myself, but I cannot remember, what is the current price? Because,
We charge $60 for them.
Okay.
It doesn't quite cover the full cost of it, but
Yeah.
we try to keep it as low as possible for the residents, so
okay.
it makes it easier for us to collect curbside if they use the toters, so we try to keep it at a minimum for them.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Administration, we have the director's report.
This is some directional drilling for a sewer force main. Deep Lease and a subcontractor, Henniker Directional Drilling, is shown installing a new sewer force main under the Nashua River. And that's still ongoing between Northgate Pump Station on Campton Street and Shore Drive. During the week of January 15th, National Water Main conducted some CCTV inspection on sewers on Monadnock Street and Marie Avenue. This is done through our CMOM project for wastewater. We purchased a Nissan Leaf. This is our second, and it will be utilized by engineering. And so far, they've really liked them. We hosted a West Hollis Street Corridor Study meeting, and on February 6th, to seek input about residents' concerns along the West Hollis Street Corridor. We had a lot of very interesting feedback, and the major concerns were both speed and pedestrian and bicycle safety. So we'll be looking closely at those. We had a very good turnout, too. We have 2 trips that our recreation department is offering. There's a Red Sox trip on May 12th, which includes the bus and the game ticket. And that's only $75, so it's really a great deal. I'm told that the seats are on the third base line, so if anybody's interested, there's still availability. And then we also have on June 8th, our second trip to New York City, and the cost for the bus is $85.
What do you do now?
Shop,
Just people
go to
just do what they
restaurants,
want.
do what they want. Everybody they do whatever they want. We have had ice at Roby Park, and as weather permits, it's been a rough winter for ice, but we have maintained at Roby at least, where we have a chiller. We've done a lot of winter tree work. This is a picture of Greenlay Street on the left and Nottingham Drive on the right, both taking down some dead trees. Park staff has been busy painting the suites at Holman Stadium, and that work is ongoing. We've also done a lot of painting inside the bathrooms and locker rooms at Stella Stadium. That requires painting every year because of the wear and tear caused by the use. This is 27 Navajo Street. We had a manhole that was buried 3 feet below grade, so we found it and raised it so that we could do some camera inspection. This is de-icing on Lock Street. This is a sidewalk tractor spreading some material. We have done some upgrades to the former Rick's Garage, the building that's right out here. Park and Rec will be moving in March 15th and utilizing that building. The street department has done most of the work, so they've done a great job. We're very fortunate to have such talented staff. We are filling potholes. It's pothole season, and there are lots of them. In fact, I called in several today near City Hall. So you'll see our crews out patching. This is just another picture of the North Gate pump station, directional drilling that wastewater wanted to include. Same work. And some of you that have been to the treatment plant may have noticed a really old silo that was in the back of the plant. It was an old silo that used to be used for housing chemicals, and we finally removed it. And so our operations supervisor is very happy because it was right outside her window. So, and that's it. Any questions?
Commissioner Shea.
So, last meeting, we had a member of the public come and speak on bicycle safety on Main Street. And I'm wondering if the addition of sharrows in the right-hand lane for a portion of Main Street is something that could be brought before us for consideration. I know it's probably it's probably one of those things that's like a administrative day-to-day business thing and not necessarily something that we need to be a part of making the decision to do. I don't want to see us lose sight of that request, which I think should be duly considered. And my thought is that having it be something that comes before us would be something that would ensure that if appropriate, it gets done. And I don't know in terms of procedurally whether or not that's possible or desired, but I feel that we should make a earnest effort to consider the request, and for me, it's something that I believe we should do.
So the only problem with that, Commissioner Shea, is that the barriers will be going out soon. So with the barriers in place, there won't be the width to be able to do that.
To do the painting.
Right, correct. Now, without the barriers, we definitely could look at doing something like that. But I know with the new RAISE grant that we've applied for, the planning grant, that's definitely something that we'll be trying to accomplish.
Mike,
Bicycle safety.
and that's excellent. And the RAISE grant is very exciting. My concern is that the RAISE grant is for the planning process, and it certainly puts us in a competitive place to get funding through the second stage.
Right,
However, that might be 5 years from now.
correct.
In terms of the timing of Main Street, when is Mother's Day? Suppose I could ask. So what's the date for those going out?
You know,
I think it's
Mark,
May
I
15th, isn't
think-
it? Is it May 1st or
Is
May
it-
15th?
Do we know yet?
It's right around Mother's Day.
Yeah.
I want to say it's the week before Mother's Day by virtue of what we decided on. It was like, it was like the week before Mother's Day to the week after some other holiday or something. So it's February now. If we hear it in March, we would have an entire month to implement. Do we have the necessary capacity in-house to implement that? Like, do we have the stencils or what have you? So we
We
do,
don't.
because we do crosswalks, right?
We do.
How-
I mean,
how-
we could certainly get them,
Yeah.
but we don't own
Okay.
that.
So we
No.
do crosswalks, we have the appropriate paint.
Mm-hmm.
So in the timeline, it would be tight, but it might be possible.
But there's not, my point, you're thinking about an actual bike lane, right? In the-
Not an actual bike
Oh,
lane?
okay.
Okay, so, and apologies for not elucidating. So, this would be, you've got your, you've got your right lane, you've got your left lane.
Correct.
I don't think that there is space for bike lanes on Main
Right,
Street.
correct,
That
okay.
is the fact, right?
Right,
Yeah.
correct.
And there is something that looks like a bike lane, but it's a open your door safely lane to, and a bit of a traffic calming measure to some extent. So the Sharrow would be the mid-lane painting of the image of a bicycle, and then either one or two chevrons, I think. So it's like a bicycle and two arrows. And the indication is that, and it's the law, but it's a reminder that it is a shared space.
Okay, I
And
see what you're saying.
creates within the driver a sense that, okay, there's this paint here. It indicates that bicycles should be allowed here and reduces the road tension psychologically between the bicyclist and the driver.
So then when we when we have the barriers, and you're thinking of painting them in the lanes?
Yes.
With the barriers in place?
No, and so they would be painted in the lanes prior to the placement of the barriers, and then the barriers would go in.
Okay,
Bicycles, by virtue of the placement of the barriers, would have adequate space. There's clearance between the second lane and where the barriers are located for a bicycle to travel within that. It's about 3 feet or something like that off the line. And so, and with no cars parked there and no doors opening, it's not a issue of shared space and safety where the doors could open and catch a bicyclist out of unawares. And so my thought is that we take the initiative to get them into place. The barriers would be placed in some instances on top of them.
that's what I was thinking.
But
right.
but in the season where there is not a Jersey barrier placed in that lane, we'll be in a place where there is the relative marking. And it's something, I mean, it's something we could take up for consideration or you know, on the administrating, the business of the department side. It could just be done in the fall, after the barriers are moved. Either way would it have the same effect truly, because once the barriers go in, you have a sort of kind of bike lane. I just don't want it, I don't want it to be an item that gets
Sure.
lost.
So that is something we need to hire out. That's not something we could do in-house.
Okay.
That would have to be done by our striping company, but it could be done. So I'll look into that and I'll report back to you. How's
Appreciate it.
that?
Thank you so much.
Okay.
I have one more question. if I could.
Okay, go ahead.
So as I went to, I need another water because I'm getting. So as I went down my vehicle rabbit hole, this week, I was looking for grants, because I was like, okay, so like we're buying all these electric vehicles, and it just kills me that there aren't grants. I mean, to some extent, there are some. The only thing that I found that might be somewhat viable, like within the recent time frame, was the Volkswagen diesel funds. Those are for very heavy vehicles, so it's not for like the pickup trucks. It would be more for like dump trucks or something like that. Was in the application period, I think, ended in October of last year. Was that something that we looked at? I was just surprised, or applied for. I was just surprised to see a lot of communities on there, and Nashua wasn't.
So that's because of our great CNG program.
Okay.
So it's all converting diesel vehicles. So it does not qualify for converting CNG, unfortunately.
And so the vast majority of our large vehicles are CNG and.
The ones that are capable, yes, yeah. So our whole trash fleet is CNG.
And it's like the Sanders that aren't, or are they? Like the.
No,
the
we don't
Sanders
have, that's the only heavy, the trash trucks are the only heavy-duty vehicles that we have that are CNG.
Okay. All right.
That's why, but we are aware, and we have definitely looked into that.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I was just like, why is Nashua not on this? But that,
Yeah.
that all makes sense, so thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's, Mike, actually, I was talking to Mike today, and he was telling me that Eversource will be,
I heard the
Potentially.
rumor that Eversource is gonna be offering some grants,
For
I believe,
electric
starting in
vehicles?
July.
yeah,
Interesting.
so that's
Some
something we can
heavy-
look into.
For some heavy equipment that might still qualify even for the CNG, but none of that's out yet, so
Mhm.
we need to see what that looks like.
Yeah, California's got a lot of stuff through PG&E, I think, and, which I think is the electricity provider out there. And so I was like, man, like this, so they must be like, it must be like they're having people be sub-grantees of something that they have applied for on, through the federal level. That's just what I assume, but,
Yeah, there's some stuff that we're watching very closely, because there is some newer chassis models coming out
Mm.
in the rubbish industry that we might be able to take advantage of the next CERT cycle, which starts in July. So we're gonna try to see if we can grab on some of that and see what develops out of it.
that's great. I appreciate the attention to that. That's, yeah, thank you.
We also have Pamela Davies, our grant writer, is also actively searching for any types of grants for electric, so.
Excellent.
All right. Excuse me, commissioners' comments. Do any commissioners have comments? Commissioner Lemon.
So I've gotten a number of inquiries, mostly from people who are older, about and I've talked to Lisa about this before, about the DPW parking lot at Stellos and near the Y. And seems to be a great deal of confusion in the community between, on the one hand, they know it's the DPW parking lot and that snow equipment has to be there, but on the other hand, they want to know why we have to have it. So, I think all I'm trying to say is that when we go and try to procure funds for the garage, there are a lot of things that people were saying to me. For example, it is not our fault that when people are taking people to the Y, if children get away from them, they're gonna hide behind the snowplows or whatever's there, because it's fun for them. And it's also a little bit treacherous, because there are a lot of people there, and, so I just think we should keep this in mind when we're talking about the garage, because I've gotten more about this than I have about most other things.
That's a good point, thank you.
Commissioner Shea.
I know it's early days, and the DPW garage item is gonna be, potentially years out, or not, if, depending on the pace of business. But, as we have this cell phone outage today, and we are purchasing all of these electric vehicles, this is going to sound Looney Tunes. I would like the department to touch base with the emergency management director and discuss the possibility of, the statistical possibility and potential things that we can do to improve our resiliency in a situation of a Carrington event. And for those unfamiliar, the Carrington event happened in, I believe, the late 1800s. And what it was a very big solar flare. This very big solar flare impacted the planet in such a way that telegraph, they didn't have telephones right back then, so the telegraph wires throughout the country caught on fire. And so this kind of thing may be every 200-year event. It may be an every 500-year event. We're currently going into solar maximum. I have no reason to believe that anything in the near term will happen, but it is a risk. And I wonder if there may be anything that we can do with the implementation of the new garage to have it double in its construction, or with some additional installment as a Faraday cage. So for those unfamiliar, a Faraday cage is it's basically, picture a metal fence or a series of wires that produce a void. So it's a cage. And but it doesn't have to be like cage-like. It could be through maybe the construction of the steel girders of the building, or through some addition to that. And that cage catches the electromagnetic wave and sends it to ground. So when the Earth gets hit with this energy, the energy is looking to go to ground. What we have are many risk areas, not just in the department, but on a much broader scale. Cell phone towers, satellite, the whole satellite system, the power grid, and the power grid is not designed, and there are efforts being taken, and there's concern on the federal level to support efforts to be taken to make the grid more resilient. And I have to wonder if this may be an opportunity to effectively create an insurance policy for our electric vehicles in the event that the sun puts out this kind of energy, which happens every couple of 100 years or what have you. I've lost my train of thought. But the basic gist is, if we could, so if we can take our vehicles, our electric vehicles, we would have maybe a 1.5 to 2 day period where we would be able to respond. Now, whether or not those vehicles can get electricity, if that happens, is a different story. But when you have something that is fully dependent on its power source being circuited, it's a point of vulnerability that's a little higher than an internal combustion engine, even though there would be components of the vehicle that would need to be replaced, and it would have a very broad effect. And I think I was just thinking about this as I'm thinking about electric cars and all this business, so I just wanted to make that comment before I think about this too often. But yeah, so I'd appreciate it if we could get with Emily and see what we can do on our end to make the department more resilient in the event of something like that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners' comments? All right, personnel. Item A, Commissioner Spetia.
Move to approve the and unsealed non-public minutes for personnel from the Board of Public Works meeting of January 25th, 2024.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item B, Commissioner Lemon.
Motion is to accept the resignation of Ryan Billings, Mechanic 2, effective February 16th, 2024.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item C, Commissioner Shea.
The motion is to accept the resignation of Linda Grasso, Administrative Assistant 2, effective February 23rd, 2024.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Now, I believe Commissioner Shea has the motion on the non-public.
I do indeed. I move by roll
Commissioner
call.
Shea.
Thank you. I move by roll call that the board go into non-public session pursuant to RSA 91-A 3, 2B, the hiring of any person as a public employee.
And that needs to be by roll call, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could you call the roll on that, please?
Commissioner Shea?
Yes.
Commissioner Lemon?
Yes.
Commissioner Espatia?
Yes.
Mayor Donches?
Yes. All right, so we're going to go into non-public session. Are we back public?
Should be back on now.
Pardon?
Yes.
Okay. We're now back in public session, having considered matters in non-public. Commissioner Shea.
I move by roll call to seal the minutes of the Board of Public Works Personnel non-public meeting of February 22nd, 2024, until such time as the majority of the board votes that the purpose of the confidentiality would no longer be served.
All right. Could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Shea?
Yes.
Commissioner Lemon?
Yes.
Commissioner Espatia?
Yes.
Mayor Dodges?
Yes. Motion passes. And now, Commissioner Shea.
I motion to adjourn.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes, and the Board of Public Works meeting is adjourned at 5:17 PM.